Good morning. I decided I'm gonna start creating content because I've had enough people on the internet tell me that my comments were on point and that I should be making videos. And I guess at a certain point, you just gotta listen to them. So, good morning. It's coffee time. I know a lot of people out there are wondering what's wrong with the US economy, what's wrong with the global economy, what's going on, and why can't it be fixed? A lot of people will tell you, oh, it's the stock market, it's corporate greed, it's a lot of different things. And anytime you're trying to solve a macro problem, a macroeconomic problem, or a larger political problem, you have to be able to look at things on a smaller scale, or at least be able to step back and detach from the situation emotionally to gain clarity. And so, if you want to look at the United States economy and why we're struggling so much, you need to look at household economies. Now, the credit card debt in this country is at an all-time high. Student loan delinquencies, 90-day lates on mortgages, car repossessions, and that tells you that people are over-leveraged and they're borrowing more than they can afford. This is a consequence of the story we were sold a long time ago that you've probably heard this before. Everybody has a car payment. And you've probably heard, as I do as a younger millennial, that the American dream is reaching the upper middle class, having a home and some toys and a toy trailer and a family, a wife, 2, 3 kids, all those different things. And with the current defunct way that our nation is being run, it's becoming harder and harder to reach that goal. Now, go back to the behaviors of a single household. With so many people borrowing to live that lifestyle or keep up that lifestyle, what makes you think that the United States economy, which is just made up by a group of representatives, normal American people who make a lot more money than us, but still normal American people, what makes you think that they're not going to be borrowing, over leveraging, and overspending? So the truth of the economic problems in the United States is a behavioral problem. It's a psychological problem, and it has a lot to do with the stories that we tell ourselves as to what type of lifestyle we deserve. Now, that's a big one. Nobody wants to say that good enough is good enough. Nobody wants to make sacrifices when they already feel like they're not getting enough. So what we have here is a behavioral problem first and foremost. And there is, I can't remember exactly, but it's ancient philosophy, and it goes into the law of reciprocity. And now this has been kind of twisted in modern times to the woo-woo manifest your dream life kind of thing. But essentially, what you put out into the universe is going to come back to you, right? If you give out good things and you're charitable and generous, eventually the universe will align itself with what you're putting out there, and someone will be charitable to you. An opportunity will come to you in reciprocity. The same is true if you borrow a bunch of money that you can't pay back. The same is true if you live beyond your means and you can't afford it. The same is true if you're very, very selfish and then eventually you need help. The people that are there that you would wish would help you are going to be selfish and over leveraged and not in a position to help. These behaviors, good or bad, stack on each other, and it goes all the way up the chain from a single individual living in an apartment to a large family that's trying to manage an estate to government representatives who are trying to run an actual state or an actual federal government. The behavior of modern times is very well described by what's called modern economic policy. Modern economic policy is the idea that you can continue to borrow as a powerful warring nation and nobody's ever going to call your debt. That our status quo is so strong that there is no way to unsettle it. That has already been proven false. There is more than enough evidence globally and locally to show you that that is not the case. The government, nobody is buying US Treasury bonds because the return on investment is garbage compared to what you can get elsewhere. You can see that locally, I already mentioned repos are at an all-time high. People are losing their houses, and we're adrift right now. But it's not some mysterious cabal of international globalists. That's happening. But that's not the reason our economy sucks. Our economy sucks because on an individual level, we don't have the common sense and the foresight to plan ahead and do the things that you need to do. Now, I'll reflect back on my situation and hopefully you can relate. I lived in California and I started a family and I was running a business. I ran a swimming pool service, repair, install. We did the whole thing. I came from years of managing a company like that and I was being underpaid. So I thought, I'm going to strike it out on my own because it's so expensive to live here and there's no way I'm going to be able to support my family on this salary. I didn't have enough capital to market, advertise, buy all the equipment that I needed, and my business started to get really shaky. I'd have great months, get a few big installs, and I'm high on the hog. And then once I do that service, nobody needs it because once you put in new equipment for people, nothing breaks. I ended up in a position where I had to borrow money from my mom in my 30s, and that felt like garbage. So I talked to my wife, and we had talked to some family out in Colorado, and we packed up and we left. There are a lot of other reasons why we decided to leave California in particular, but the economic issue was the biggest one. Can I support the life that I am trying to live here? No. So we made sacrifices, we made changes, and we packed up and we moved. Now I understand that a lot of people might not be open to that. A lot of people might see that as impossible. I did for months and months and months until I had to come hat in hand multiple times to family members when I have my own wing of the family to take care of, and I felt like an absolute schmuck. Now, transition to here in Colorado, I did the same thing. I started a handyman and repair business. I was doing decks and doors. I was doing property maintenance repairs, whatever I could to make ends meet, and it still was not enough. I decided through some advice from my aunt, may she rest in peace, that I need to invest in my education and increase my skills. So I got certified as a home inspector, which was a very cool trade, and I think that anybody with a handy bone in their body should really consider that as an educational path, because you can do that certification for about $700 or about $50 a month if you join one of the national accredited associations. However, I still didn't have enough capital to get that business off the ground. So I look around at how I can pivot. I had to, in this moment, change my story. I bought into hustle culture. I bought into be your own boss. I bought into all these things. But the truth of my situation didn't line up with that. And I had to make a correction. How can I use the education and the skills that I have to make a difference in my life? Fast forward, I applied for a code enforcement officer job with the local county. Luckily, they had an inspector position regulating on Airbnbs, change of use of business, and things like that, which my inspection certificate helped me out. I would love to say that doing that made a stratospheric change in our lives and we are so set and we have all the things that we need and want. But that's not true, and that's not going to be true in this economy. The truth is, After 2 years with the county, I've already gotten promoted to a different position. I am working my way up. I have increased my income from where I started by about 12.5% in a year, which is pretty unheard of for government work. But I chased opportunities, I was ambitious, and the right things came my way. Because I'm flexible, adaptable, and I choose to learn. I didn't stay in my story. I was willing to change my behavior. I was willing to shrink my monthly carry, and that's a big one. The truth is, I'm doing pretty well with my job. But the fact is, I live in a really shitty place right now. I have a family in a 2-bedroom trailer home out in Colorado in the mountains because that is what we can afford. Sure, I could fight for my story of I'm going to be a hustling guy, I'm going to be a boss, but that behavior would only serve to continually keep me in debt. I chose to, when I got money, pay off the vehicle payment that I had, sell it, get an even cheaper car, a 2009, that I could pay off in cash. Now I have no mortgage, my car insurance is cheaper, I got into debt consolidation, and I have one thing left to close. I am almost completely debt-free, but that's only because I changed my behavior. I was willing to accept less because the truth is, I can't afford more. Now, I started talking about the economy, household behaviors, government behaviors, all the way up the chain. The United States economy will never be fixed by a political talking point that somebody has on the internet. No person on YouTube, a guru, whatever, is going to help you get out of your personal situation just by following these 10 easy steps. It's not going to fucking happen. The fact is that you need to accept whatever your story is and be willing to change it. You need to accept wherever your finances are and be willing to sacrifice more and more. Chop down your expenses, say, I don't need it. Learn to say no. And then increase your income, your skill set, and what you can offer in terms of value. I know this sounds like a lot like a YouTube guru right now, but there are just facts. There are things that are true, and then there's just truth in the world, okay? The truth is you can only cut your expenses so much, but you certainly can increase your skill set and the value you bring to the table. Can the US government do that? Can the US government pivot as fast as a single household or a single person can? Probably not. There's a whole lot to get into with this, but if you appreciate what I'm saying and you'd like to hear more, come and check out some more of my videos. I'm going to go into the economy, politics, and just general inquiries about things that I see online that are missing steps. People online keep talking about the things they hear in the news, the things they hear from other YouTubers, and they miss steps, they miss facts, they miss truth in the conversation that they're seeking to get answers from. And that's what I want this channel to be. What's missing in the conversation and how can we get to the bottom of it? So for now, I'm going to be drinking my coffee, sitting by a fire in my piece of crap trailer home, climbing my way to a better life. I hope you can do the same. God bless.